All right, guys, so this is going to be video 4, but this is going to be part 2 of, either just independently doing it or my students that are doing it. I've put online now for those of you that are just kind of, for those of you that are in my class, I've put on school, whatever it is, guys, you can actually go and either do the reading assignment and then write a couple of pages. I think it's like a total of 2 pages on a couple of different artists, or and some sort of art piece. But for those of you that are watching this, I'm pretty sure you're not those guys. You're the ones that are going out and doing ceramics, which is what I think it's really awesome how many of you guys have gone out and actually done this. I've even had several people that aren't even from the school that are doing it, and that's kind of what this whole thing is, guys. I'm hoping to develop this into just a regular public channel where it's not going to always be ceramics or sculpture. Right now, while I'm still teaching in school and stuff, it's probably going to be focused on that. But eventually it'll be just doing all different kinds of things that are, that's art, from woodworking to I've got a lathe, so we're going to be doing some turning on the lathe. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of things on this channel. So let's just see where it goes. All right. So that's one thing I do want to say, guys. If you haven't subscribed, that'd be kind of cool. I'd like to, start getting a base. Leave some comments, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the, let me know what you guys think of what I'm doing here, especially my students. If you're one of my students, I definitely want to hear, what you guys think. So now to the actual, what we're doing. So guys, we've gone out, we've collected clay. I've shown you guys 3 different places. We did it in my backyard. We went and did it down at the Provo River. We went and did it in the mountains. So guys, you don't have to go to the Provo River. You don't have to go to the mountains. Here in a minute, I'm going to take you into the studio, and I will show you several different examples of what we're about to do that we've already done, so you guys can see what I'm looking for when you go to turn this in. So you don't have to put it in a cardboard box or a, really much anything, guys, but you're going to take the clay, your sample. We're going to do what, I learned this trick a long time ago from a farmer. It's like a soil sample. What we're doing is we're just going to try and see, how much clay, how much workable material we have in our tests here. Okay, so we've gone out, we found this, we think that we have clay. So what we need to do is we need to go and we need to find out how much is clay, how much is sand, how much is, organic soil, just different things. And there's a really cool way to tell. When I found this out, this guy was doing it to, find out how much clay versus soil he had in his field, so he could go and, figure out what he could plant in his fields. So I started doing this just so I could see if, what the material that I had, if it was, worth, is it worth going through and trying to, get the clay or whatever material I was going for? Is it worth trying to do it? Because when it's in this form here, guys, you're gonna have a bunch of different things, and those things are all gonna weigh different amounts. Okay, so we're gonna find out how much is clay, how much is these different materials, and if they're worth going and harvesting them. So the first thing you're going to want to do, guys, is you're going to want to take your samples. If they're muddy, probably leave the lid off of them for, you guys should have gone and put them in like I said, I've run into several of my students, some of them had them in like Tupperware. I've actually seen people in, the cup that I had in my first one, guys. So, leave the lid off. Let's get it to dry out a bit, because you're going to want to take it and you're going to want to go through it a little bit and remove as much of the organic material that you can see. What I mean by that is like little sticks. Like, see, that is a stick. That's a stick. The roots. Whatever kind of organic material that you can, you can see. You remove that kind of stuff. if you have great big rocks, don't spend a lot of time doing this, because you want to know if where you're getting your area is, you know, got a lot of clay in there. You don't want to have to, you know, we don't want to taint our sample here. So, but what I do want you to do is go through and get out like the really big rocks. You know, you can leave some rocks in there, because that'll actually tell you, you know, that's part of the test, so you can see the sand and the rock level and that kind of stuff. And you know, kind of go through here, and but get out the organic material, because that's most of that organic stuff is just going to float to the top anyways. So, and it just kind of, I don't say it's not going to mess with the test, but it definitely goes up, and when you bump it, every time you bump it, it's going to float down and land on your sediment layer. So you know, and we're going to leave these sit for a while. So you're going to want to get some sort of a jar that has a lid. I've got 2 different jars here. We got 2 different samples, and it doesn't matter, just something that's clear that you can see through. And it can even be plastic, just something that you can, you know, you want to have a lid on it, so you can screw the lid on there. But then what you're going to do is you're going to take it and you're going to fill it up with some of your sample there. You don't want to fill it up too much, you know, maybe about halfway or so. A little bit less in there. So this is a really small one, but we'll still be able to get a decent sample out of this. We'll be able to tell. And then, you know, take your lid. Before you put your lid on there, we're going to put, this is just regular dish soap. This is what I leave in my studio, because, you know, I have dishes in my studio. I do ceramics. You're going to put a, you know, healthy squirt of dish soap in there. It's going to act like a deflocculant. It'll help separate everything so nothing sticks together. And then you'll put the lid on that, and then we're going to, you know, don't screw it on too tight, because we're going to go back into the studio and add some water here in a second. And then we're going to take the other sample. This one, actually, let me go through it. There's a lot of stuff in this one. This one here, this is that one that we found. So let me tell you where I got these and which video you can, you know, because these were both filmed. So this one over here, the one that I'm going through right now, the really sandy one, and there's a lot of sand in this. This is the one that came from the Provo River. And I've done a test on this one already, and I'll show you guys that test. But I'm just going to go through this one really quick and get out some of this organic, a few of the bigger rocks, you know, and that kind of stuff. Just going to kind of pull that stuff out. We don't really need it or want it, you know. And then, you know, take this stuff and fill it up. There's a lot of sand in this one. This one's very sandy, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Pretty good. Got some soap. Okay, and then this box over here, the first one we did, that's the one that was up in the mountains above the high school. Okay, guys, so, you know, take these and let's head into the studio. Okay, guys, so, you know, this is something that I don't teach at school, guys, but I do have my own studio, which is where we're headed right now, because I do make and sell my art. And let's set this up back here. And let's see here. How are we looking? Oh. Maybe back it up a little bit more. All right, guys, so that's my mixing table. So okay, guys, so we've got our samples here. These are the samples that I did earlier. That one that I found in my backyard is actually right here. This one's a little scary. I don't know if I want you guys to see that. I don't know what happened, but it actually built up too much pressure on the inside, and it actually blew the jar up. It was really weird. I came in here and I saw this huge mess on the floor. It's still up there. I still need to clean up some of it, but whatever was in here did not like to be pressurized because it had this lid on it, and I tightened them up tight enough to where it actually started making some gas or something like that was coming out, and it just got so bad that it actually combusted. So I actually am kind of really curious to find out what that was. You know, I've played with this clay before. I've made glazes out of this. The glazes are okay if you mix them with ash. The one thing that this does do is it makes it's kind of a cool clay. So this is the clay itself. This is if I do like a primitive firing, like a pit firing or something like this, guys. This clay is really cool. So I've already bisque fired this. This has been fired to cone 08. So, you know, and it actually is pretty stable, you know. I don't think it'll go up much higher than this, but you know, I know I've taken it up to cone 10 and it definitely melts completely into a puddle at cone 10. But it's a really cool, it's a really dark earthy green color. It's still, even though I've gone through and I've processed it and I've run it through all my screens and stuff like that, it still is really, there's something else in it that gives it this really weird pitty color. I'm not a huge fan of it. But you know, if you mix it with some wood ash and stuff like that, you got to make sure that it is washed wood ash. It does make a really kind of a cool, earthy, you know, wood-fired look to it. So we'll get into these here in just a second. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fill these up with water right here in my sink. You know, about that much. You know, you leave a little bit at the top so you can shake it. And then I'm gonna put the lid on, you know, pretty tight because we're about to shake it here really good. So I'll just start shaking this one up a little bit. You know, I shake it for, you know, a good little while. You want to make sure that that soap gets in there and breaks everything up. That's what you're trying to do with the soap, is you want it to break it up. So as it's sitting there and it's starting to settle out, it doesn't clump back up. It'll settle out into its, you know, respective layers, I guess. You know, so we'll take that. The other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I mark it, so I know, you know, if you're doing multiple samples, I know where it's coming from. So I'm just going to put PR for Provo River, and then just, you know, PR test. Okay. And I'm going to put that one down right there. I'm going to put it here because I'm still going to shake this one up. I'm just going to get a little bit of water in this one. And then I'll just shake them both together. Yeah, so there's, you know, there's a little bit of room in this one too, you know. Okay, and then I'm going to just set it up here, and I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm going to leave it for probably a week, you know. That's how long we're going to want to wait. It's not going to take a week, you know, a couple of days, a day or so. You should be able to have it completely separated. Shouldn't take that long. Let's see here. Let's go Temp Mountain. Okay. So now we just leave those there and we let them set out and just let it settle out. And then now let's, I'm gonna bring you guys a bit closer. And then this way we can talk about these here. And let's talk about where they came from. So this one right here, if you guys, I want you to see here really quick. I've already put lines on them because this is kind of what I want you to do as well. I want you to go through, put a line on where each layer is. And if you look really hard, you can see the different layers. So I'm hoping that you guys can see these marks. here. This one's probably going to be the most difficult one, but there are several layers in this one. All right, guys, so you guys are probably going to be able to notice this, so I might as well just tell you my battery died a couple hours ago. So I had it on the charger. I finally just remembered to come out and finish this off. I'm going to try and splice them together. Never done it before. So we'll see how it goes. That's what you guys are going to do. You're going to put your clay in there, a little bit of soap, a little bit of water, shake it up, let it sit here for a couple of days. You guys can already see, let's see here. Let's get you closer to these guys here. And so you can see these are the ones that we did earlier today. So you can already see that they're already starting to settle out. So this one still needs to set for a little bit. There's still quite a bit up here. This one's pretty much done. You know, let's just kind of go over these here. So this is the one that I did from just my front yard. I just went out and, you know, I dug a little deep. It wasn't too deep, but I dug until I started getting a little bit, you know, lighter color. You know, it had clay in it. There's more soil than clay though, like you can see here. Like with this here, this little tiny top part here is just clay. We got a lot more soil and sand, and there's a whole bunch of other things in there. So I probably would never do anything with this one. This one here, I believe, is the tent view. Yep, this is the one from right behind the mountain behind the high school. You know, I'm actually debating on making a glaze out of this one, mostly just out of, you know, because it's tent view, and you know, we'll play around with it when we're back at school firing things and stuff. This one here, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one. You know, there is a lot of sand in here, but like I said, there's still, you know, there's something kind of interesting in these layers here. So I might, you know, I don't think it'll be a clay, but this is the one that I got out of the river. If you guys watch the other videos, this one here is probably the best one. Okay. So this is the one that my 9-year-old son, so I didn't even tell him what I was doing. He just saw that I was in here doing these, and he said, you know, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm just checking to find, you know, clay and this kind of stuff. It's one of my assignments, and just kind of messing around. And then so he walked from here, and his grandmother doesn't live too far from here, just up the road. And when he came back, he had a big handful of dirt, which is also, it has a lot of clay in it. So I'm going to turn this to where we can get a pretty good look at that one. So it's this one right here. You know, and there's actually quite, you know, I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be, even though there's just going to be a couple of different things in there, and there's even another layer or two in here, but I'm pretty sure that all of this in here is usable clay, you know. And so he showed me where he got that, and so I'm probably going to go and, you know, I'll play with this. I'm willing to bet you that one will do a nice low fire, you know, clay, and I bet it'll even do maybe you know, this stuff down here that's a little darker, might have a little more iron or something in it, and so I'll turn it into a glaze. So these are the two that we just did here. This little one here, and this one here. So yeah, I'm going to try and splice these two videos together, guys. So, you know, that's going to be the next part of the assignment. Take the clay that you guys went and got, put it in a mason jar or some sort of a clear jar that has a lid. You know, put a little bit of soap, a little bit of water, shake that sucker up, you know, get it going really good. And then, you know, put it down, put it in a windowsill, let it set, and then check out the layers. After a couple of days, I want you guys to take a marker or something that you can, you know, a Sharpie or something, and mark on the side of the container, and then, you know, take a picture of it and then upload it into the assignments. For those of you that are just watching to do this for fun, you know, do it for fun, put it in the comments, show me what you got. And I'd love to see it. Love to know what you guys are thinking of this. You know, we're going to see how crazy we can get on this channel. You know, it's been kind of hectic in here. I've been trying to set my studio up and my shop up to where I can start filming. You know, I kind of want to do a little bit more of this filming stuff, and, you know, we'll see where it goes. So for those of you guys that, you know, haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's my channel. We'll see what we can do. But besides that, guys, until next time, we'll see what happens. All right, guys? See you. Bye.